Cairo, 1991. A geologist kneels at the edge of a limestone trench on the Giza Plateau. He isn't looking at the Great Sphinx. He's looking at the wall behind it. Most people walk right past it. Tourists photograph the face, the paws, the pyramids beyond. But hidden inside that trench is something that shouldn't exist. Deep, rolling, vertical channels cut into the rock. The unmistakable fingerprint of heavy rainfall. Thousands of years of it. In a desert that hasn't seen rain like that since before Egypt was born. Not a myth, not a metaphor. Water damage in the driest place on Earth. The geologist was Dr. Robert Schoch of Boston University, brought to Giza by researcher John Anthony West. The official record says the Sphinx was carved around 2500 BC for the pharaoh Khafre. But here's the problem. Not a single inscription from that era names its builder. The famous dream stele of Thutmose IV, erected between its paws around 1400 BC, describes the Sphinx as already ancient, already buried to its neck in sand. And another document, the Inventory Stela, appears to describe Khufu repairing a Sphinx that existed before him. For decades, scholars dismissed it as symbolic, a late forgery, a scribe's flattery. But if you're enjoying this investigation, subscribe, because what the rock itself says is harder to dismiss. Egyptian priests spoke of Zep Tepi the first time, an age when the gods ruled a green and fertile land. Historians filed it under mythology, but read it as a climate record, and it changes. A green Nile Valley. Rain. It sounds like memory, not legend. They weren't guessing. They were recording. Follow the clues. Clue 1, the erosion itself. Wind-blown sand cuts horizontal, brick-like channels. The Sphinx enclosure shows deep, vertical fissures and rounded, undulating rock, a profile geologists associate with precipitation-induced weathering. Clue 2. In 1991, geophysicist Thomas Dobecki ran seismic surveys around the monument. The subsurface weathering in front of the Sphinx ran up to 4 times deeper than at the rear, suggesting the front was exposed to the elements thousands of years longer. Clue 3. The repair blocks. The oldest restoration masonry on the Sphinx's body is Old Kingdom in style, meaning that by 2500 BC, when Egypt supposedly carved it, someone was already patching severe damage. It was carved, it was weathered, and then Egypt inherited it. Then modern science found something that changed everything. Climate data confirms the Sahara was green, the African humid period, with sustained heavy rains ending around 3000 BC and peaking millennia earlier. And at Nabta Playa, 500 miles south, archaeologists dated a megalithic astronomical circle to roughly 7,000 years ago. Sophisticated builders in the rain-fed Sahara long before the pharaohs. Yet when Schoch presented his findings to the Geological Society of America in 1991, geologists were intrigued and Egyptologists were furious. Requests to drill beneath the enclosure stalled. The seismic team's follow-up work was never permitted. A cavity Dobecki detected beneath the left paw remains unexplored. It was scanned, it was recorded, and then it was closed. Now, does this prove the most extreme version of the story? Probably not. Skeptics argue salt crystallization and poor quality limestone layers could mimic rain erosion. That's a fair objection. But that explanation has a problem. It doesn't account for the deeper subsurface weathering at the front, or the Old Kingdom repairs on supposedly new stone. Even the cautious reading pushes the Sphinx back thousands of years. And if that's true, it means our history is missing a chapter. A culture with the tools, the organization, and the reason to carve a 240-foot guardian out of bedrock before Egypt existed. Who were they? What were they watching for on the eastern horizon? Tonight, the Sphinx stares into the sunrise, as it has for perhaps 9,000 years. The trench is still there. The cavity beneath the paw is still sealed, still waiting. If this mystery gripped you, like this video, subscribe, and watch our next investigation, the underwater ruins that shouldn't exist, before it disappears from your feed.